Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bihari Gopi Janabalaba Yere Baladhagute Gopi Janabalaba Yere Baladhare Gopi Janabalaba Va Ye Vadadhari Yasunanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasunanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachagute Yamuna Tera Vanachagute Jayaranhu Madhuva Kunya Bhagavate Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bhagavate Gopi Janabalaba Idavadhare Gopi Janabalaba Idavadhare Gopi Janabalaba Idavadhare Ijana Balava Iri Padada Yasudanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasudanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Vanachagute Tera Vanacha Jamuna Tera Vanachagute Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bhagavate Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bhagavate Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Paravatikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanala Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Gajai, Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrind Gajai, Namacharya Shidahreda Stahur Gajai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidweda Gadadhar, Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrind Gajai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinanda Sai Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Gajai, Vrindavanam ki jai, Maturadam ki jai, Jagadavasami ki jai, Munamari ki jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi ki jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premananda Hariharu. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Budle. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pajani Nivishesha Shinivadi Paschatra Deshtari. We are reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 60th chapter, text 41. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Yad Vanchaya Nripa Shikamaneho Anga Vainya Jayanta Nahusha Gayadaya Akya Pacham Rajang Vishvaja Vivishur Vanam Amujaksha Siddhante Te Anupadavim Ta Ihastitaha Kim. Okay. Yadvanchaya Nripasika Manayonga Vainya. I'll try to go slower. Jayantanahu Shagayadaya Haikya Pacham. Rajam Brichija Vivishurvanambu Jaksha. Siddhanti Tenu Padavim Tagi Hastita Kim. Yadvanchayan Ripashikammana Yonga Vainya. Jayantanahu Shakayadaya Haikya Pacham. Rajam Vishija Vivishurvanamambudyaksha. Siddhanti Tenu Padavim Tagi Hastita Kim. Yadvanchayan Ripakshika Manayonga Vainya. Jayantanahu Shakayadaya Haikya Pacham. Rajam Vishrisha Vishurvanambujaksha. Siddhanti Tenu Padavim Tagi Hastita Kim. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Yat, for whom, vanshaya, out of desire, nripa, of kings, shikamanaya, the crown jewels, angavanya, jayanta, nahusha, gaya, adya. So Anga, the father of Vena, Vanya, Prithu, the son of Vena, Jayanta, Bharta, Nahusha, Yayati, Gaya, and others. Aikya, exclusive. Pacham, having sovereignty. Rajam, their kingdoms. Vishraja, abandoning. Vivishu, entered. Vanam, the forest. Ambuja Aksha, O lotus-eyed one. Siddhante, suffer frustration. Te, your. Anupadavim, on the path. Te, they. Iha, in this world. Astita, fixed. Kim, whether. Translation, wanting your association, the best of kings, Anga, Vanya, Jayanta, Nahusha, Gaya, and others, abandon their absolute sovereignty and enter the forest to seek you out. How could those kings suffer frustration in this world, O lotus-eyed one? Very interesting. Please repeat, wanting your association. The best of kings, Anga, Vanya, Jayanta, Nahusha, Gaya, and others abandoned their absolute sovereignty and entered the forest to seek you out. How could those kings suffer frustration in this world, O lotus-eyed one? So, purport by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Here, Queen Rukmini refutes the ideas put forth by Lord Krishna in text 13. In fact, Srimati Rukmini Devi repeats Lord Krishna's own words. The Lord said, Ashtata padavim subhru praya siranti oshita. Women who follow my path generally suffer. Here, Rukmini Devi says, Siddhantate nupadavim ta ihastata kim. Why should those fixed in your path suffer in this world? She gives the example of many great kings who renounced their powerful sovereignty to enter the forest where they performed austerities and worshiped the Lord, intensely desiring his transcendental association. Thus, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Srimati Rukmini Devi here intends to tell Sri Krishna, you have said that I, a king's daughter, am unintelligent and frustrated because I married you. But how can you accuse all these great enlightened kings of being unintelligent? They were the wisest of men, yet they gave up everything to follow you and were certainly not frustrated by the result. Indeed, they achieved the perfection of your association. So, anyway, there's some commentaries here we'll read real quickly. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, you have said that almost all women who follow your path end up suffering. That is also a foolish statement. Bharata, Jayanta, and other great kings took shelter of you, but did they suffer? Were they foolish? You have said that because I am a foolish princess, I suffer. Jiva Goswami says, with particular anger. She responds to his suggestion that he should be given up. She rejects his assertions of verse 13 that women become unhappy because of him. Desiring you, Topmost kings gave up kingdoms desired even by the devatas and entered the forest. They had faith in you, the son of Nanda, and thus remained fixed at your feet somewhere in this world. Iha, nu indicates a question. This verse replies to his statement that all women become miserable because of him. Kings and others also included in the statement. Thus she replies by mentioning kings. And finally, Sanatana Goswami. Yat is the correlative of te in the sentence. The best of kings possessing kingdoms gave up their kingdoms which they controlled completely, ekapacha, and entered the forest. Or te distinguishes these kings from Jarasandha. Adhaya indicates Priyavrata and others. Do indicates a question, or can be the words anupadavim. Will they who are situated in your path suffer, even in the forest, Iha, O lotus-eyed Lord? They wait to see your beauty. And again, the verse. Yadvanchyanrupa Shikamaniyunga Vainya Jayanta Nahucha Gadaya Daya Daya Akyapacham Rajam Brishisha Vivishur Vanamam Bujaksha Siddhantite Nupatavim Tai Hastita Kim. So Omagana Tibidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shikadaveda Maha. So here the kings are described as having taken the renounced order of life, and in the renounced order of life, there's a lot of austerities, at least previous ages. Nowadays, anyway, not going to get into it in this con. But anyway, so the renounced order of life, there used to be, because it vanam means going where? To the forest. Like we have Vrindavanam and all the dhams. And they would engage in so many austerities. Of course, their austerities would increase over time. You know, we have these different stages of sannyas, like Bahuda, Kutichak, Parvidakacharya, Paramahansa. And just the other day, we heard from Mother Irmala about Madhavendra Puri. And he took a vow not even to ask for food. You know, and of course, like I say, myself, when I travel with my food. A full suitcase full of supplements. Anyways, but here's that's like the first stage of sannyas, actually. So, but he wouldn't even ask for it. So why are these people undertaking this progressive path of renunciation? And kopina kantashrato, you know, not dressing in silk anymore. Of course, in this age, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had the sannyasis dressed nicely, so because they're preaching, that's called yukta vairagya. But what the sannyasis or renunciates that are being referred to here are not dressing in silk or not dressing opulently, do not have gold rings on their fingers, do not have watches, Rolex watches, I don't. They, you know, come and gave up eating, gave up sleeping, isn't it? Nijahara. There's various. So there's a variety of reasons. Of course, here, Rukmini is indicating that by searching for you, taking sannyas, because taking sannyas means searching for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or being absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because traditionally, before one took sannyas, one had so many material needs. A lot of time working off, being a king, where things are being referred to here. It's, you know, it's like difficult. Just like I was reading the Brihad Bhagavatamrita the other day, and Gopakumar, in his search for his ultimate position, became a king in various places, like Jagannath Puri. He became King Indra, he became Lord Brahma, and each and every one of those places, he had to deal with all this management stuff, and he wasn't really happy, right? He really wasn't happy. He's just, you know, Jagannath Puri, he arranged for Lord Jagannath to be taken care of very nicely, and Actually, when he became Lord Brahma, he arranged for the whole universe to be filled with nice devotees. You know, he appointed all the pure devotees in different positions in the universe. But still, you know, headache. So he gave it all up just to become a simple coward boy in Vrindavan. So he could, which is a type of renunciation. He gave that all up. So, in other words, when these kings did that, they enjoyed a higher happiness. And of course, we find in Bhagavad Gita, there's the verse, Raso Varjam Rasopyasa Param Jasta Nivartate Vishaiva Nivartate Nihara Shadena Raso Varjam Rasopyasa Param Jasta Nivartate. That one experiences a higher taste and one is fixed in consciousness. So one may look at these different renunciates from a particular point of view and think they're really suffering. But actually, they're enjoying. Like you hear about Bharat Maharaj, who gave up everything. He gave up his kingdom, of course. How he gave up his kingdom is like untouchable stools or something like that, is the description. But he was experiencing so much ecstasy until he became deviated from his spiritual path, and then he was still looking for material pleasure. So we find in this list of kings given here that not every one of them took sannyas initially for the purpose of being absorbed in Krishna. Some of them took sannyas just out of what? Frustration with the material world. I'm going to give some examples here and some other examples too, because you actually find different motives for people renouncing this world, just like you find different motives for people coming to Krishna consciousness, as Krishna states in the Gita, Chatur Vidha Bhajanti Mam. You know, some people are coming to Krishna consciousness because they're interested, some because they're looking for knowledge, some because they're looking for money, not so much in the United States. In India, it happens like that because they want to come to America, and it's sort of like their path to come to America. Or some people are doing it because they want, they're in anxiety. They want freedom from the stress. So they got all these different reasons people come. So these personalities that are mentioned here, in addition, there are other personalities who have different motives for searching out the Supreme Lord. Of course, in the end, they are experiencing spiritual ecstasy, and it's not an austerity. Ultimately, they're happy, but in the beginning, there's a different motivation for them. For example, Maharaj Anga is mentioned here. Maharaj Anga was the father of Vena. Some of you may know Vena. Vena was basically a bad father. His mother had some bad influence on him. And so he became so horrific that he would kill his friends when he went out to play with them. His mother would say, where are your friends? He said, I killed them. And so ultimately, Maharaj Anga said, he's a bad kid, but he's impetus. In many cases, impetus for renunciation is actually an unpleasant experience or just painful situation, rather than the renunciation itself being painful, because that's more pleasurable because you're absorbed in Krishna. But the original impetus is that Krishna just makes everything so painful, no other than to renounce this world. I was also thinking of other personalities left this world or took sannyas or renounced this world or went on pilgrimage because of pain. And one person who comes to mind is Vidura. Vidura was living in the kingdom, being taken care of by his brother, Dhritarashtra, and living very nicely. He was trying to give advice to his brother Dhritarashtra, and Duryodhana, his brother's son, insulted him. He said, who asked the son of a maid servant give advice. And he actually experienced pain, and it's described, and these aren't the exact words, but it's he went as far as like a received lashing. You remember this expression? In the Bhagavatam, it says one has gotten a good lashing. So lashing means pain. So the material world gives us a lot of pain, not to be, of course, negative, until we say, I'm not saying that everyone should take sannyas in a literal way, maybe in a figurative way, renunciation or take up Krishna consciousness, until we say uncle, right? Does everyone know what uncle means? Until we give up and say, all right, and then we go out and we search for Krishna. That's one impetus. And of course, there's other examples of that, even with the great Acharya Ramanuja. Ramanujacharya, a pure devotee, he didn't have any plans to take sannyas, but his wife made his home situation so painful because his wife became a Vaishnava aparadi. She offended Ramanujacharya's Shiksha Guru and Shiksha Guru's wife, and Ramanujacharya just couldn't tolerate it anymore. Shh. And what did he do? He told his wife, he actually had a message sent through a Brahmin. There's going to be a marriage somewhere in your family village, so you better go. And then he took sannyas at that point. So there was an impetus. And even in the case of our founder Acharyas, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, that Krishna really made every other alternative unpalatable. His business failed. His wife was selling his Bhagavatams for tea biscuits. His wife said, I'd rather have tea than you. And so it was an impetus. And Prabhupada didn't have plans to take sannyas. In fact, Prabhupada, oh, you're going. It's too shocking, the dream. Oh. I guess it was too shocking about the material world. So, so Prabhupada even had a dream that his spiritual master was telling him to take sannyas, come with me. And Prabhupada said, I was horrified. So Prabhupada Prabhupada was dutiful. Yeah, twice he had that dream. And Prabhupada didn't do it, but Krishna just tightened up the screws, so to speak. And it's just like, wow. And sometimes Krishna makes it apparent, and then we don't accept that it's apparent. And then Krishna tightens up the screws more until we just say, okay, like that. And this is not only in regard to sannyas, it's in regard to becoming Krishna conscious generally. And then we find other examples of devotees who took the renounced order of life actually out of pure devotional service. Not even one of these four principles of taking up Krishna consciousness, or 4 reasons for taking up Krishna consciousness. They took just because they wanted to please Krishna. They already had the knowledge. They were already free from distress. They already had plenty of wealth. Boatloads of wealth. Of course, you could probably figure out who I'm talking about right now. They had boatloads of wealth and inquisitive. They already knew about Krishna consciousness. So like the Goswamis of Vrindavan. The Goswamis of Vrindavan took simply out of a desire to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you have all these different impetuses, but the result is actually the same. That one experiences happiness by doing this. And actually, even in this world, there's an interesting verse that Krishna cites, or Krishna speaks, in the Bhagavad Gita, that even in this world, sacrifice is required to achieve anything. And this verse, which I'm going to cite right now, is from the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, text 29, where Krishna says to Arjuna, O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next? So, of course, Krishna here is, of course, referring to sacrifice in terms of Vedic perspective, but I'm taking it in a larger understanding here, that one has to make some sacrifice in order to achieve anything in this world. And after hearing this, you may become very scared, thinking, I have to give up everything, I have to sacrifice everything. But Krishna himself doesn't advocate this in Kali Yuga. Krishna in Kali Yuga advocates staying in your same situation, and your sacrifice is a sacrifice of chanting what? The holy names. Isn't it? It's the Yuga Dharma. Stane stita, Shruti Tan Van, Manobir. Just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was touring South India. And as he was touring South India, there were different personalities who wanted just to follow him and give up everything. That would be normally the response that I think many of us would have if we met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Isn't it? We think, I just want to be with him. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to many of them, don't speak like that. Go back home. But not just go back home, but stani sita shuddhigatam tan van manobir. Stay where you are, but shuddhigatam tan van manobir. But engage in the process of what? Hearing. That's the real point. I mean, the real renunciation, the real absorption in Krishna that's required is absorption in Krishna's names in Kali Yuga. That's why the Vedas say that in Kali Yuga, sannyas is prohibited. And of course, Prabhupada said sometimes that sannyas refers to Mayavad. Not become Krishna in Kali Yuga. Yes. Many people, I used to think like that. But then when I took sannyas, I wasn't a whit more Krishna conscious than I was before. You carry your desires and anarthas with you. You may have a danda desires that you had before. It's interesting. You sit in the forest, I thought all my karma was gone. I thought all my, all the desires are gone. No. You travel from one place to another. You bring your mind with you. You travel all over the world. So, anyway, so the whole point is to become absorbed in hearing and chanting, understanding of Krishna consciousness, understand of Sapada, Abhideya, and Prayojana. These three branches of knowledge. That means understanding the tattvas, the relationship like between the material world, Krishna, Krishna's energies, time, karma, all these other things like that. Some Abhideya, Krishna, here's a book. Krishna himself says that this sacrifice of obtaining transcendental knowledge is better than any other sacrifice. In the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 31st verse, sacrifice performed in knowledge better than other material possession. After all, son of Pritha, all sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. Very, very interesting. So, actually, probably the purport of this verse is quite interesting. The purpose of all sacrifices, Prabhupada states, is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries, and ultimately to engage in loving trust to the Supreme Lord Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, there's a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Sacrifices sometimes take different forms according to the particular faith of a performer. When one's faith reaches the stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifices should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without such knowledge. For without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness. So, and another verse from Bhagavad Gita about sacrifice, not just about sacrifice, but transcendental knowledge. 18th chapter, text 70. I'm sorry, this is not 18th chapter, text 7. This is 4th chapter, text 38. In this world, there's nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And when one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So, in other words, that should be our focus. Attaining transcendental knowledge, not necessarily engaging in external renunciation of this world, but attaining transcendental knowledge by following the practice of bhakti, which is hearing and chanting, specifically chanting the Lord's holy names, and then jnana vijnana sahitam, yajgachwa mokshase shubhat. Then we become liberated from this material world. So, any questions or comments? Yes. Yeah. Because they were threatened. Yeah. Yeah. It's not really mentioned that they were, I mean, they had to serve the Nawab Hussain Shah. Yeah, but they were doing that to serve the Vaishnavas, to protect the Vaishnavas. Because Nawab Hussain Shah had threatened to kill many Vaishnavas. And I don't know what happened when they took sannyas, whether those Vaishnavas were endangered or not. Anyway, thank you for your comment. But we find different reasons or motivations for people taking the renounced door. That's right.
Adi Purusham Tamaham bhajami govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Menam kanvandam aravindadalayatakam Varhavatam samasitam buddhasundarangam Kandar agom vidamaniya vishesha shobham Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Angani yasta sakalen Driya priti manti Pasyanti panti kayanti Jiram naganti Ananda chinmaya sadhu Jala vigrahasya Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami Govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami
Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Mauravani Bhaja Nekini Vishesha Shunyavani Masya Jagati Sacharande Mauravani Bhaja Nekini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaurvata Vrindana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pramanityananda Vaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaurvata Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Ramanitana Vaita Narada Sivasade Gormatupana Abode Janana Hare Krishna Kate Krishna 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 Hare Kate Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Nana, Hey, Rade, Rade, Hey, Rade, Rade, Rade.